The term colonial discourse was introduced by Edward Said, who saw Foucault's notion of a discourse as valuable for describing the system within the range of practices termed colonial come into being. Sayed's Orientalism, which examined the ways in which colonial discourse functioned or operated as an instrument of power, initiated what came to be known as colonial discourse theory. Discourse, as Foucault theorizes it, is a system of statements within which the world can be known. It is the system by which dominant groups in society constitute the field of truth by imposing specific knowledges, disciplines, and values upon dominated groups. Colonial discourse is the study of European representations of non-European cultures and peoples. It posits a power relation wherein the colonial power had the authority to represent and make pronouncements or articulate statements or ideas about its colonized subjects without always seeking authenticity or validation. Colonial discourse validates itself and thus, in the absence of any contest about its claims or propositions, establishes itself as the truth about the colonized subjects. Colonial discourse may thus be defined as a set of European representations of the colonial power's subjects that enables the political, economic, cultural, and social practices of racialized power relations between colonizer and colonized. Colonial discourse, in the numerous studies that followed that of Sayed, is seen as offering particular kind of images of the non-European as savage, effeminate, primitive, vulnerable, childlike, superstitious, illiterate, apolitical, etc. Such representations in the manner of all discourse circulated powerfully and became the rationale and justification for colonial rule, since according to this unchallenged discourse, the natives are savages and incapable of ruling themselves, and accepted by the natives as the true representation of themselves. Colonial discourse is greatly implicated in ideas of the centrality of Europe, and thus in assumptions that have become characteristic of modernity, assumptions about history, language, literature, and technology. Colonial discourse is thus a system of statements that can be made about colonies and colonial peoples, about colonizing powers, and about the relationship between these two. It is the system of knowledge and beliefs about the world within which acts of colonization take place. Colonial discourse tends to exclude, of course, statements about the exploitation of the resources of the colonized, the political status accruing to colonizing powers, the importance to domestic politics of the development of an empire, all of which may be compelling reasons for maintaining colonial ties. Rather, it conceals these benefits in statements about the inferiority of the colonized, the primitive nature of other races, the barbaric depravity of colonized societies, and therefore the duty of the imperial power to reproduce itself in the colonial society and to advance the civilization of the colony through trade, administration, cultural and moral improvement. Such is the power of colonial discourse that individual colonizing subjects are not often consciously aware of the duplicity of their position. For colonial discourse constructs the colonizing subjects as much as the colonized.